And what's going on, fam? Anthony Dream Johnson here today, your favorite president of the Manosphere, founder of 21 Studios, co-founder of the Redman Group, CEO of 21 Studios, 21 Convention, 22 Convention, 21 University, and several other brands and organizations that I keep making over time. Today in episode 116 of the Redman Group, I have special guest Mr. Terrence Popp, aka Mr. Redonkulas. I made that up, but I like that word a lot, Redonkulas, and it's a great brand. He's a big YouTuber for men, focuses on MGTOW, men's rights, and other issues on his channel. He's got about 121,000 subs, I think. Link is in the description to go follow him. You should go do that immediately or right after the show. Before we get into more of Terrence and what he does at redonkulas.com, today's sponsor of the show is, of course, the 21 Convention, per usual. Terrence will be a speaker there, along with guys like Richard Grannon, Elliot Hulse, a bunch of other amazing speakers, and that's part of the larger 21 Summit Triple Conference Super Duper experience. So we got the main event for men. We have another event for fathers, the Patriarch Edition. And finally, we have an event for women where we will be making women great again because modern women in America and Canada kind of suck. So we're going to fix them. You can go to the 21convention.org to get tickets to any of the events. And ticket prices go up every few weeks. So the sooner you buy, the more you save. And all tickets are still buy one, get one free. So bring a friend free. That offer is going to end on August 31st, 2020, so coming up pretty soon. You can also check out 21university.com, positive education for men, where we teach you how to be a masculine badass and how stupid feminism is. You can actually go there and get a free 30-day trial. There's also some free videos you don't even need an account for. And we will soon have full apps on the iPhone store and Android store that you can use for free, along with your account, or even log in and watch some of the free speeches from guys that have died. Some of our speakers like Andrew here and Stefan Arnium. Without further ado, please help me welcome to today's show, Mr. Terrence Popp. How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, man. Welcome to the show. Really appreciate you coming on.
All right, no problem. This actually, the platform and the link you sent me is actually fairly easy to use, so I'm gonna probably adopt it and use it in my channel moving forward.
Fuck yeah, man. Spread the love, dude. Yep. So you're the founder of Redonkulas.com. You also are a big YouTuber for men, and I think a lot of your focus is MGTOW. And you got about 120,000 subs, 21 million views, even with shadow banning. You've helped inspire and educate millions of men, man. And I really appreciate you doing that and then coming on the show today.
Well, I mean, the primary goal of what I'm trying to do is keep the gun out of people's mouths.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Talk to me a little bit about your origin story. I believe you had a really rough, pretty standard manosphere divorce rape horror story back in the 2000s.
Yeah. Well, I was in the National Guard working. All right, so in 2003, I was working in finance as a mortgage broker, and I got mobilized to go to Iraq with my National Guard unit, and I went there, got dinged up pretty good. I got blown up, and it caused, I had a pretty significant brain injury, and while I was recovering, my ex-wife basically drew a red line through my name and wrote me off, and decided to get a forced cock run through her. So I had to file the papers. I'm not putting up with that shit. I mean, but from what I found out, it was just unrecoverable.
You had a zero tolerance policy, basically, for any kind of cheating.
Yes, yeah, and I'm not putting up with that. And then, I got divorced. I lost my kids. They came up with some crazy number I had to pay for child support based on, but by that time I'd been unemployed because I'd been back from Iraq, and the whole market had collapsed.
Yeah.
So there were no mortgages, no one buying houses. It was a wrap. And I wound up living out of my car and eating off the McDonald's dollar menu for about somewhere between 4 and 6 months.
Damn.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. And now you run a big YouTube channel. You have a nonprofit. You've written several books.
Yeah. Well, I got, the thing is I'm not that guy that you should fuck with because I do stuff. So, I had a podcast for a while. and then I did a bunch of videos with secondclasscitizen.org, which is a nonprofit, and they are very negative. All right, I mean, they're not negative like done in a bad way, but the subject matter that is touched upon in those videos is really dark, and you know, when you see, you know, very depressing stuff, you kind of mentally just check out. I guess it's a psychological reflex to protect yourself, I guess. So I realized it was unhealthy to live in that mindset. So I switched over to comedy, and that really made all the difference in the world.
Do you have a history in stand-up comedy or something like that? I thought I heard that from somebody.
I've done some stand-up here and there. Here in Detroit, it's really not that big of a thing. I'm looking to get into it. I'm sure I have more than enough material to put together, you know, a 30, 40-minute act, you know.
Yeah, your videos are really funny, man. They're different from any other content creator I've seen in the manosphere. It's good shit. You remind me of George Carlin a little bit.
I mean, so I guess that's what somebody told me, that I'm the conservative new version of George Carlin.
Yeah.
So
savage. So you spent a couple decades in the military, I believe, in the Army. Talk to me. 33 years. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Talk to me. I've seen you talk about it in your videos, but yeah, talk to me about that experience specifically. Not the exit, I guess, with the cheating and the shit, which I hear is really common for guys in the military.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. It's of all the guys I knew in the Army, I think maybe 3 of them are still with their first wife.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Navy SEALs, for example, too. They have a divorce rate of like 96% or something.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, it's similar to all frontline combat guys. That happens to them.
Yeah. What do you think the reason for that is? Is it just like women think you're going to die, so they start getting fucked on the side, or something else?
You know, I have my theory, and it's you know, when the guy leaves on deployment, he's gone. So these women they think they have a free pass to do whatever the hell they want, and they more than likely do. And then when the guy comes back, they pull the well, you weren't here, and I was lonely, and I needed somebody, and
I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy.
It's the same spiel.
Do you think that's a more recent phenomenon with thought culture, or has it always been like that for military guys in America?
It's pretty much always been that way.
Damn. So thought culture just doubled down on that shit. That's
oh yeah.
Fuck, dude.
It's crazy, man.
Talk to me about your experience in the military. It's a long time as it relates to being a man and masculinity. I'm sure it wasn't perfect. I know you've talked a lot about the bureaucracy and the fucking insanity with that shit. I know guys active duty now that still talk to me about the craziness and the shit they see with the bureaucracy.
Oh
what
yeah.
What were some of the positives with like just I mean, you're a combat veteran, yeah? I mean,
yes.
that's some serious shit.
Yeah. Well, I was in the Army while the Army was engaged in 3 formal conflicts, and I was almost killed in 2 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. It just comes with the job. I mean, if you're gonna do that kind of shit, you know, sooner or later you stand in line for what you want. You're gonna get it. So.
Yeah. Jesus, man. What were some of the more positive elements coming out of it? I know, for example, you've talked a lot recently, and I like it. Your thoughts on the potential civil war in America and the riots and shit we see going on. And I think you have a much better analysis than the average person, obviously, the understanding this crap. Everyone else is just living in fucking la la land like a sheep. And you're like, actually, there's a lot of propaganda here, and this could fucking pop off at any minute. Like,
well, my last few years in the military, I got moved over to civil affairs, and I worked in intelligence for a while, and then, man, what's going on right now in America is it already happened in China between 1965 and 75. They're called the Red Guard movement, and they did the same thing. They attacked places of worship, attacked graveyards, took down statues, and then they rounded up a bunch of people that for social justice, so they say. And by the time it all calmed down in 75, 76, somewhere between 20 and 30 million people got the axe.
Wow.
Yeah, and the whole Tiananmen Square thing that happened in 86.
Yep.
The Chinese government, they quashed that shit right off on the spot because they didn't want to go through that shit again.
Yeah,
And
so
it's happening here. I mean, it's virtually identical, and anyone with half a brain can see that, but most people, because
don't have
common
half a
sense,
brain.
because common sense is now a superpower in the Marvel universe. They don't have that, and they're just getting funneled in propaganda and just getting led down a bad path.
Yeah, it's a slaughterhouse at the end of the day.
Well, in Nazi Germany, the brown shirts did pretty much a lot of the same stuff that Antifa and BLM is doing. And then when the Nazis came into power, they had the Night of the Long Knives, where virtually every leader of the brown shirts was executed. And a large portion of the brown shirts were then, repackaged into, Hitler's SS in the army.
Wow.
Yeah, and the same thing happened in Russia. I mean, it
True
is.
believers, they end up taking out, right? They use the true believers and they fucking round them up and kill them.
Well, they call them useful idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and yeah, they kill them.
Yep. Jesus. Yeah, I've been looking at some of the George Floyd stuff lately, some of the body cam footage and one of the cops' attorneys is doing now, and like it looks like probably all those cops are going to get off for different reasons, especially because it looks like the DA there is overcharging, all this murder stuff and
Yeah, that's actually fairly common. Okay, I just got to say this about the George Floyd. When I saw the video, I thought, kneeling on a guy's neck for that long, especially when he wasn't really freaking out, was a little excessive. It was definitely excessive.
yeah,
But the police, were taught that is part of their SOP, their standard operating procedure, and the four cops were just following that. And due to George Floyd having drugs and other medical problems, he expired. And
yeah,
it was terrible. And listen, I'm not a fan of the cops, but the problem is not the police. The police are just the bottom rung on the totem pole. It is the whole system from them up that's jacked up, especially this qualified immunity that everyone seems to have, where they violate your constitutional rights at the drop of a hat, and then they go, "Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm immune. You can't do anything to me." That's bullshit. And in my opinion, there needs to be a lot of people taken out in the street and hung by light posts till they're dead.
Holy shit! Damn. So I'm guessing you're a fan of General Pinochet down in South America.
Pinochet
He's a helicopter general.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
He was
I, I
throwing communists out of a helicopter. I don't know how long ago, but yeah, he's a pretty savage dude. And I think he's dead now. I think he's been dead for a while. But
yeah.
a lot of Trump fans are big fans of General Pinochet.
Well, I mean, I spent a lot of time in South America, and
Hmm.
a lot of crazy shit goes down there with the FARC and the Shining Path and the people that are growing coca leaves. And I mean, it's just a it's a wild west out there because the law and order is not going into the jungle to do shit.
Yeah. Let's switch gears a little bit. Talk to me about. So I'll pull it up here. You got 2 videos recently I want to talk about. You got a bunch on your channel, but let's talk first about your voting for Trump again. Looks like you voted for him in 2016. I did as well at the last minute. I switched from the third party to Trump. Talk to me about your why you're doing that again. I mean,
Okay.
are you a Trump, Trump blind supporter? Or are you just a MAGA? What do they call him? Frog or something? What's going on?
No, I mean, I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of stuff Trump does I don't agree with. Yeah, I don't agree with his mannerisms, the way he talks, and some of the shit he does. But in the grand scheme of things, he has 50 some odd years of experience in the business world. and he's had to adjust and do business in other countries and the United States, and he's seen the effects of some of the stifling taxes and regulations on his businesses. And he got up there at the top, and he's like, hey, I'm a businessman. What you guys are doing is bullshit. I really like that about him. And I also like the fact that he's the only president since the 60s who's actually gone up against China, because I saw it when I was a kid, when I grew up just outside Detroit, and all the layoffs and the plant shutting, and they shut down the steel mills. And I mean, it's absolute ludicrous where you can dig up the iron ore here in the United States, put it in a rail car, send it to a port, load it into a freighter, take that freighter, go to the other side of the world where they take that ore, turn it into steel, then they ship it back to the port, put it in a boat, bring it back to the United States, and somehow it's cheaper to do that than it is to make it here. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
It's cultural enrichment, dude. You got to diversify, man.
I'm sorry, but when I heard about the forcing the minimum wage up to $15 so everyone could have a living wage, they don't seem to understand that the reason they're doing that is almost all of the living wage jobs are in China.
Yeah.
Because fast food model is not built around paying people a very high wage to live on. I mean, that's just the way it works.
Yeah, these jobs aren't flipping burgers and shit, working at Walmart. It's not designed to be living wage.
No. I mean, it's just nuts. And I would like to see those jobs come back to the United States. And I believe with this pandemic, a lot of people's eyes have been opened. Like, wait a minute, all our shit's being made in China. That's not good. That needs to stop. And that's why I'm voting for him.
Okay. How do you think he's done as a president for men specifically? Versus obviously Hillary was an alternative. Mr. Biden here, senile Joe Blow.
All right.
I mean, how do you think he's done for men?
Just business as usual. I haven't really seen any big movements in regards to men and shit like that. That was really heartbreaking. I wish he would do something like that. I made a video directed for him specifically in regards to soldier suicide and how it's linked to divorce and family court.
Yeah.
I mean, from my studying of the phenomena, 70% of those dudes that kill themselves either had a failed relationship, divorce, or some type of contact with divorce and family court.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, in my understanding, men have a massively higher successfully suicide rate too. Women attempted more, but they fail. But men try.
They're not serious about it.
Yeah, it's an intention move. Yeah, help,
attention,
victim. Yeah. Men are more competent with it, so they get the job done, I guess.
Well, because when they finally decide that, hey, I'm done, I'm checking out, they're done and they're checking out. That's the way it is.
Yeah, and I've read too, though, that like you're saying, the post-divorce, the suicide rate is way, way higher. It's not just in general at that point, which is already bad enough, but now it's through the roof.
Yeah, and it's absolutely insane, and no one talks about it.
Yep.
We've got people doing the long walks for the 21 a day thing, which is 21 veterans kill themselves every day, which, in my opinion, that number's low. But no one does shit about it.
Yeah. Well, I think the first step's talking about it at a scale that guys like me and you were doing. It's slow progress and it's frustrating as hell. But I think I've reached like you, tens of millions of guys. Even this year, we reached technically. But I've kind of played the media using this hat, and I got to reach 150 million people for free. So that's pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah, it was dope. Yeah. Yeah, this Make Women Great Again thing. We're doing the conference for women soon at the same time as the men, and it just pissed off 150 million people. It was great, and it was free, and all over the news, locally, internationally, nationally. Had a lot of stuff. Piers Morgan, New York Post, New York Times, Sky News,
Yeah,
everything. Yeah, I
that's
knew
pretty
they would
cool.
hate. I knew they would hate it eventually, and I had this going for a while, but I put the conference together, and it just triggered the shit out of them. So
Yeah,
it's been really nice. Yeah, watching them get all pissed off. I've been getting death threats all year and threats of violence and shit. It's all nonsense, I think, but yeah,
yeah. The death threats thing doesn't really bother me.
yeah, they're all fat and out of shape, so I'm not too worried about it.
No, unless they sneak up on me, not really concerned about it too much.
Yep. Yep.
Because I get the death threats and stuff like that. Like, we're gonna kick your ass and blah blah blah. And usually I respond with, "Hey, yeah, well, it's been a long time since I enjoyed a thorough ass kicking. Could you please give it to me?"
Yep. Yeah, I get this bullshit too. They email us all this stuff, and they leave voicemails just screaming at me on the company phone and shit like that. It's supposed to be for people wanting to buy tickets and shit like that. And then these feminists will call in just fucking yapping about something. Fucking
Uh-huh.
losers.
Yeah, I mean, the women don't seem to realize that they enjoy a level of security and comfort here in the Western world that no other woman has ever experienced.
Yep.
They are safer now than they've ever been in all of human history.
Yep.
And there is no massive amount of beatdowns men are putting on women. There isn't this rape culture bullshit that they keep harping on. It's just not there.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to say that American women in particular, but really all Western women, they're the most. It's one of my speakers gave me. He actually said this first, and I just kind of repeat it. It's fantastic. That Western women are the most overprivileged organisms in the history of this planet. Nothing else is even close. And especially in America, because unlike Canada and Australia, America directly has so much police presence and wealth and history and military power. It's like they're abs, and that's what I think is a big part of what makes them so entitled and delusional in
Uh-huh.
so many different ways today.
Well, to me, it just sounds like they're overprivileged and underpumped.
Okay, like underfucked.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah,
The guys are like, "Hey, wait a minute, I'm out. Forget it." And the sad thing is roughly a third of the women that we have today are going to die not having any children.
yep,
They're going to go to the dirt nap alone and on their own, and they did it to themselves. Wah.
yep. Yeah, feminists weeded them out of the gene pool. Basically, they lied to them, turned them into cat ladies, spinsters,
Yep.
wine ants. I mean, yeah, it's a shit show, man. Total shit show.
Yeah, and what is it? 1 in 4 women is on some kind of head med, and that stat is 8 to 10 years old. So I'm sure it's probably
I think
higher now.
it's like 1/3 now. I saw it the other day, actually. I
Is
think.
it? Yeah, you
Yeah,
need to send me the link to that.
yeah. It might have been. I think it might have been a certain demographic, like women under. It was something with young women, like women under 26 or something like that. Whatever it was really high and was recent. Yeah, and I've seen that in real life. I mean, a lot of girls, the old thing, like look through a girl's medicine cabinet. And nowadays, you see just all kinds of bullshit. It's crazy, and they'll even tell you. I mean, you ask them like, "Yeah, I'm on this med, I'm on that." I went to a psychologist and or a psychiatrist. They gave me this, and I'm like, these girls will be like 22, 23 years old. I'm like, holy fuck!
Yeah.
Like, why are you on all these fucking? This is like out of a dystopian. It's like Blade Runner shit. Like, why are you on all these fucking drugs?
Yep. Yeah. Like when I was recovering from my TBI, they put me on a bunch of that stuff, and I took it for exactly 1 year.
Hmm.
Then I just quit taking it. I mean, I didn't cold turkey. I weaned myself off, but
Yeah.
that stuff is not meant to be a permanent thing. I mean, I'm a firm believer that head meds are necessary for some people that are really bad,
Sure.
but most of the people that are on there, they just use it as a crutch.
Yep. Yep. What do you think about so Make Women Great Again is the campaign I've been getting going this year and reached all these people. What do you think about that? Do you agree with the statement that most American women today pretty much suck and we need to make them great again, or what do you feel about that?
Well, I'm a firm believer that most of the Western women do indeed suck. Okay. I mean,
Softball question.
I mean, that's very accurate. Now, in regards to trying to recuperate them or re-educate them or however you want to call it, if I mean, the only way that could be possible is if they're willing to listen to the arguments and change, and most of them just aren't.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think most women will never rehab after they go into the cat kingdom and they build that, and then the spinsterhood I think a few of them, some of them will or just avoid it because they have good parents or a good culture and a community. Some of
Uh,
them will fix it. Some of them will fix themselves like 5% or 10%. But I think 80% of them never will. And even with this idea and this campaign I'm doing, I want to make women great again. I have no delusions that I'm going to change, millions of millennial women. My goal is to affect Gen Z and younger, even unborn women. I want to start educating and getting educational content created using speakers who talk about these issues and how stupid feminism is, for example, and then at least begin the process over the course of a few decades of turning the ship around. Because the millennial women are just fucked. They're totally fucked. I think feminism wiped out basically millennial women. Most of them will end up like barren wombs, like you're saying.
oh yeah, they will. They will. And then when they get about 36 to 40,
Hmm.
they really get crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, because they're just trying to have that baby,
Yep.
and they go nuts. And the thing is like when you bring up it's biological facts that women do certain things because of their biology. They flip out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, "What do you mean?" And it's like, "Well, women like to do this and this and this, and this is why." And that's not true. I'm like, okay,
Yep.
sure, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't even. A lot of women don't even know just basic facts today, man, about their own biology and stuff. And like their
Nope.
eggs are almost completely dead at 30. Their peak fertility is like 21, 22. They should be cranking out kids by then, basically, or around that age. And like, my grandma was married at 16 in Croatia and had my uncle at like, right after that.
Yeah.
And oh, dude, great life, man. Had a bunch of my mom and my aunt, and married for till the day my grandpa died. Yeah, and she was an amazing woman, completely different from this thought trash we see today.
Thought trash.
I try to keep it PC. Try to keep it PC.
No, that's totally cool though. Yeah. I mean, I have two daughters, too, and I feel sorry for them because I mean, the way the world is it's just dicked up.
Yeah.
Yep.
On the
And
positive side, I've seen. I spent a month last year in Poland. We had our convention there,
uh-huh.
and I got to spend, like a whole month there, and it was so much better than America for the culture. The
Really?
women there were a lot more. Oh yeah, dude, I loved it. The women were so fit and feminine. There's no fat women. They hate feminism basically. There's a few like a little small segment of feminism and shit there, but they're totally ostracized. People make fun of them. The government, the ruling party there that keeps winning. They're super family, super traditional oriented stuff.
Yeah.
I think people,
Unfortunately,
yeah,
that's for that to happen here. It's gonna have to get really, really bad.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely one avenue, yeah, for it to happen. Collapse and the clinging to masculinity that they need when they're desperate.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. When and if that ever happens, and I'm still alive, I put my white horse away, and I turned my armor into a wood burning stove, and they can just fend for themselves. If they're strong and independent, well, there you go. You don't need me then,
Yep.
and I'm gonna let them rot.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So, in terms of a collapse, and because I believe that's definitely something that could happen. And I love America, but I'm under no illusion that it couldn't collapse like the Soviet Union, which happened not that long ago.
That
That
is
happened when I was
correct.
a kid. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you watched any of my zombie apocalypse videos,
a little bit. I've heard you talk about the zombie
the
apocalypse. Yeah,
zombie apocalypse.
yeah,
Well, yeah, I just put together possible worst case scenarios that could happen here.
yeah.
And it seems like what's happening is a combination of three or four of my videos all in one. It's amazing.
Mm.
It is, and like a lot of these Democrat run states and cities, What they're going to do probably if they lose the election is they're going to secede from the Union. And then they have a base of operations to work out of. And then they can apply for international aid from other countries and so forth. And then it's going to get really lively because, and if I'm still standing at the end and we win, I am not going to be very happy about that.
Yeah.
No, that's just bullshit. But that's exactly, what's going to happen. And in one of my zombie apocalypse movies, they basically say a certain amount of people could basically surround a prison, take it over, and they have literally thousands of aggressive, vicious, and angry men, and they just got to put weapons in their hands. You got a brigade of dudes right there. And with the amount of people we have in prisons, that would be very, very bad. It could easily happen.
Damn. Well, fortunately, there's a lot of gun owners in America that are not in prison, and
Yes,
a lot of guys a lot of patriots, man.
that is correct. And I actually covered that as well. As no country in all of human history that has gone through something similar to this has had a standing population capable of easily, reversing it or stopping it in its tracks. And that's because we have so many people with guns. I'm a big gun guy. I love firearms.
Yeah, me too.
I usually lately I've been carrying a pistol everywhere I go.
Yep.
And I may or may not have a long gun in the car, in the trunk, because
Got it.
you never know. But yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking at right now.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit more about the potential for civil war this year. I mean, a lot of people still don't take that seriously. Some people do. I mean, definitely this year has been much more in the, that could happen. And even the mainstream media has been talking about it a little bit finally.
Well, my
for
feelers,
whatever, for whatever reason, right?
Well, my feelers have been basically telling me this is there's massive amounts of money going to BLM, and then it trickles down from there. A lot of that's going to the Democratic Party, and I'm sure a lot of that money is also going into the hands of Antifa. Now, right now, they're in the agitating phase, where they're not really using a lot of deadly weapons or lethal force. And when they finally, get up to the level where they actually start shooting people, and then you're going to see a radical change in how they operate. China has been caught funneling weapons into the United States, along with fake IDs and so forth. And the police of this country are not really going to be able to handle it in the beginning. Like, for instance, we have, you've heard of the flash mob, correct?
I've heard the concept, yeah. I'm not super familiar with it.
Some guy organizes something. He's got a network of people who are interested, sends out an email or a text. They all converge on one area and do whatever they're going to do. That can easily be done, except instead of like doing a dance or some stupid shit.
Oh, yeah.
They have weapons. They show up at one area. They do what they do, and then they meld back into the population. And that's how it'll be in the beginning.
Damn.
And your only hope is if you have a weapon on you at the time, and you're skilled to use it properly.
Yep.
Because from experience here, people they act all brave and they talk tough until they're on the two-way rifle range, and their target is shooting back at them.
Yeah.
Then a lot of people are like, that's a no bueno.
Well, everybody falls back to the level of training, which for most people is 0 or close to 0.
That's correct.
They panic, right?
That's right. Yeah. And I've talked to many people who are like, well, in a real situation, this is what I would do. I'm like, no, you will fight as you train.
Yeah.
If you don't train it that way, when the rubber hits the road, you're going to choke. You're not going to do that. Sorry.
Yep. Yeah, I really increased the frequency that I train this year. Usually it's not that often, a couple times a year maybe. this year it's been a lot more consistent with guys I know in the Central Florida area. But I'm really thankful I know them through the convention and things like that. I got some new
Yeah.
weapons. I got a new AK pistol, pretty sweet.
Mm.
It's basically an AK. It's basically a short barrel AK-47,
Mm-hmm.
and it's my first real rifle I got, or pistol, excuse me. But yeah, it's pretty.
Pistol.
Yeah, yep.
I
But I love it.
understand.
Learning how to shoot it, and it's been nice to have. Before that I only had like a shotgun and a handgun, Glock
Mm-hmm.
19 and a Mossberg 500, which are good for home defense and carrying, but it wasn't really like something that would be useful if shit really hit the fan. So
Yeah. I mean, I used to train guys to go over into the box for my last 10 years in the service. And yeah, and I've had some guys come back from Afghanistan and Iraq that were in some pretty heavy shit. And one guy, he came back to thank me, and he said, "Look, when this shit hit the fan, I didn't hear the gunfire at all. All I heard was you in my ear yelling, 'Why are you not shooting? Why are you not shooting? Shoot back, maneuver, shoot back, maneuver.'" And they they came back alive, which is good. Knock on wood. None of them get zeroed out, because that would really piss me off. But yeah. I mean, I I worked in civil affairs, and I was the training NCO / first sergeant / commander, everything. And I built all the training schedules and put people through the paces. And one of the big tools I used was airsoft guns and paintball.
Oh wow, nice. Yeah, I love paintball. I grew up playing that a lot as a kid, and down in Florida in the swamp.
Yep.
Well, not that real, pretty close to the swamp by half hour. But
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, I used to take my guys out to the paintball range once or twice a year, and we'd divvy up into teams, and we'd fire maneuver, and all of that works. Yeah, because I remember the first time we showed up there was a bunch of kids. They're like 16, 17 years old, and when you're that age, you're indestructible, and we're just old farts. And the guy who owned the paintball course is like, "Oh yeah, that Army stuff, it doesn't really work here." I'm like, "Oh, it doesn't? Okay." And we mop the floor with everyone. You put down a base of fire, you fix people in position, and then you maneuver on them, and it still works. You're just not killing them. You're just putting paint on them, or airsoft, pellets. But it works like a charm.
Hey, quick commercial break. We had some super chats pop in. I want to highlight. Thank you for the $5 from Pop Smoke and Ghost. They never grow up; they just grow old. I think he's referring to women, probably unhappy women. And then another super chat from Nimble Fred, $10. Thank you, sir. Invest in boxed wine and cat food. I salute you, Pop. Yep.
I like it.
Yeah, he's got a point, man. Chicks love that cheap ass boxed wine from the dollar store or whatever, and then the cat food. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I make fun of women with all these cats. I love cats. I think they're really cool. I don't have any, but I think they're awesome. But definitely women who collect cats, it's super. I think they're just like it's a nurturing instinct. They just want little things that are infantile to take care of.
Yes.
And cats.
See, I'm a dog guy. I like dogs. Not a fan of cats.
Yeah. I like dogs too, but I don't know. I like cats. There's a bunch of stray cats I feed around my neighborhood, like the cat daddy. They're all starving, so I just feed them like this organic cat food I throw at them. Yep. Let's switch gears a little here a little bit. I got some things I want to go through with you still here. Talk to me about gold diggers. In this topic on your channel. I mean, when I was growing up, the comedians talk more about gold diggers, right? Bill Burr, George Carlin, and shit. But this term seems to have fallen out of favor today. But let's revisit the gold digger phenomena.
Oh my God, like women really get upset when you tell them that they're gold digging you. I myself retired. I'm fine, and I'm not sharing any of my shit ever again. I learned my lesson. Not happening. But a lot of these women are very transactional. If you don't come, cough up the cash, they are not interested in you at all. And that's fine. There's a word for that. It's called a prostitute. And then I mean, once you know the rules, you know the rules. You can play the game.
Yeah.
So I mean, gold diggers are just fine as long as you know up front that that's what they are, and you know,
So
everyone's walks
gold
of.
diggers are kind of like dishonest prostitutes, basically.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. And I refer to like a lot of these women that get married and they're only married for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
I call them a halfway hooker or
Okay.
or a wife-stitute.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Because that's all they're there for. They get half the shit and then they leave. They get the cash and prizes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a parasite hopping from host to host, like just
Exactly.
bouncing.
The gold diggers.
Are you familiar with the miniature gold diggers of today? The sugar baby phenomena that's spread throughout the United States. I guess around the
Yes, I
world,
am.
probably.
It's very common in college. Women in college do that.
Yeah.
It's still a gold digger.
Yep.
They just want, they hang out with an older dude to get money to pay for tuition, books, housing, what have you.
Yep.
And some of them will have like 4 to 6 guys on the hook doing all that shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you show up there, you don't know if you're what kind of Richard salad you're backing into, or
Yeah.
clam chowder in some cases. It's just you
Oh
don't
my
need,
god.
you don't need that.
DNA soup. Yeah,
That's
clam
exactly what
clam chowder's pretty good. Jesus.
it is. It's
Uh,
common.
I actually bang these girls for free. It's like a sport thing. Once a year, I buy the membership for $80, and I
Uh-huh.
just for a month I just try to bang a couple of them out for free. I rip them off basically. It's kind of like I feel like the dark night of dating. Like you got to get someone's got to do justice for these old guys getting ripped off by these girls.
Yeah,
So
it happens,
the
man.
veterans I find they're usually too hard because they're too experienced. But the new girls, they've been there for like 6 months or 3 months, kind of like browsing around. They look at me and they think I'm like Christian Grey because they're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, he's like young and I put my net worth at like 10 million. You just mark like whatever. It's complete. It's so hysterical how the site works. These chicks are so naive.
Which site do you use?
Seeking arrangement usually.
Seeking
Yeah.
arrangement.
Yeah. There's actually one of our my customers, an attendee from the conference a couple years ago. He did this too. He figured this out, and he wrote a book on it called Salty. And it's
Uh-huh.
his experience. When guys do this, it's actually called salt dating instead of sugar dating because
Yeah.
they just get the salt, and it's pretty sweet. They basically, if you fuck good and you're an attractive dude and stuff, and you don't fit the mold of them trying to rip you off, they end up in their head because they're women. They just change their mind about you, and they're like, oh well, I just like this guy. I want to fuck him, just like they met you off Tinder or something. In
Yeah.
their head, it's all the same shit, even though they're basically a prostitute.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's a good deal. As long as you
you
avoid the
know,
clam chowder.
yeah. You don't need any more Eskimo brothers, man. That ain't good.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, dude. I only do it like once a year because it's kind of like eating a bunch of cake, and it's ironic because it's sugar. They call themselves sugar babies, so it's like if you eat like a whole fucking cake and you're just really hungry, it's like, oh, this is great, and then 5 minutes later you feel like shit because you're having like a insulin tidal wave, and you're just like, oh my god, I want to die.
That's right.
They're super whores, man. They'll fuck you in like fucking 15 minutes flat. Like it's crazy. It's fun though because it's like somebody's got to do it,
Yeah, see, once you get older and you've been around the block a few times, I mean, that sounds great, but in my mind, I'll be like, yeah, what could I be doing with my time right now?
Yeah, as I get older, these kind of thoughts enter my head a little more slowly over time.
Yeah, and the chick's peak term for that is he's too set in his ways, which means he can walk away from the pussy anytime he wants. I have zero control over this guy, and that's just it.
Yep. Yeah, the older I get, the easier it feels to walk away from women. And
How old are you now?
I'm about to be 32. I'll be 32 in a couple of days.
Well, so right around 34 is when usually around the age where the big head overpowers the little head. So right now you're still kind of dick thinking.
Yeah. I think I'm moving in that direction. I feel it. I feel it in my bones,
Yeah, I mean the little head it's not a big brain surface there. You're not really you're not thinking right. So I understand though. I mean I was there when I was young. I was terrible. So
yeah. No, they call it young, dumb, and full cum. Like I get it.
I was slinging seed like an old bird feeder, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I have my horror stories too, man. I accidentally married a hooker back when I was in my 20s. So
Ah,
BPD chick, yeah.
she was a hooker.
Yeah, I found out she was an escort. She had been an escort and was escorting during the marriage. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's nuts. We dated for 2.5 years, and then we were sort of married for 2 years. But
Wow.
because of the men's rights community and the pickup artist community I was involved with, I actually never got legally married on paper. We just had like a
Okay.
wedding. She took my last name with the
Uh,
courthouse and shit.
uh-huh.
So I avoided basically all the problems that guys go through. We had no kids, thankfully. I had a good time, sort of, just fucking like crazy hooker. But
Whatever happened to her?
now she got remarried the same year I left her. Oh, I found out she
Uh-huh.
was a hooker and cheating, obviously. So I left immediately. Like you
Uh-huh.
had zero tolerance for this bullshit. Adios. Like,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
don't need that.
the hooker thing was crazy. I'm like, holy fuck, that's nuts. Like,
Did you go to the doctor and get checked?
I did, and I was crying when I got the results because I thought I was. I mean, even these days, I hate STDs. I don't have any, but back then, I really hated STDs, and
Uh-huh.
I mean, like anybody would, but I was just much more like paranoid about it, and so I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I probably have fucking AIDS. Like I have herpes or something. And
I call that.
the doctor's like, why do you want to get tested? I'm like, well, I found out my wife is a prostitute, and he's like, what? And I'm like, no, I'm not kidding. Like, I need to get tested immediately. And this is like some family doctor. I'm like, now, like, not a joke. But I got
So,
the results like a week later. I was in tears, man. I was so happy. I couldn't believe it.
yeah, so you're lucky you didn't catch yourself in case of herpetogonosyphilis.
Yeah, dude. Yep. Yep.
Because yeah, you who knows? Maybe you were climbing on top of that bowl of clam chowder a couple times during the marriage. You didn't even know it.
I have no doubt because I know, knowing her personality to the extent, the layer of it that I did. If she got mad at me or something, I've no doubt she would do that. So I would say there's a 90% chance or 99 that at some point she did that.
Yep.
And it's just, I mean, dude, we fucked every day. So yeah, of course, like almost no doubt. Which is super gross, but I mean that's life. Shit happens. I got no STDs though, which is what matters, and no babies, and no divorce rape.
Well, there you
So
go. Because if you had had a child with this woman, I guarantee you that she would turn up the misery factor on your life. She'd turn
oh
it to
yeah,
12.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Once you go over 9 is when people start killing themselves.
Well, she chased me for like 3 months trying to find me after I left in Orlando.
Uh-huh.
She kept trying to fuck me and rope me back in. But I had read books about all this shit, and plus some of my buddies like, yeah, stay away from her. It's hard, and you want to keep banging somebody. But I was like,
I
well,
know. I've been there. Yeah, and
but
you can expect in the future that she will try to do a couple of slingbacks on you.
oh yeah, yeah, no doubt. Yep,
If you watch that video, I tell you the criteria to expect it in your life.
yep.
So it wouldn't
Well,
surprise me when she gets. How old was she at the time?
I left her when she was 34. Yeah,
Also, yeah.
she
So
was older than
she's.
me. Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. Mm.
Yeah, not good for her. I'm kicking ass. Like I'm loving life, but I'm sure her shit sucks. So. Well, here's
Well,
also what happened. Check it out. I gave a speech on it called "Marrying Medusa," and I put it out on my YouTube channel. And her name's in it, and her face, because she was part of the conference. She would interview. She would ask
uh-huh.
speakers questions. And so basically, I put that video out and it went viral. And her family found it, and it went all over the place. It's even picked up by news sites a little bit.
Nice.
So it's got like 500,000 views. So like 500,000 people know she's a prostitute now. And yeah,
Wow.
so that'll haunt her for the rest of her life. And I don't give a flying fuck.
It will, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will. And
I thought it was really good.
a lot of these
Okay.
women don't understand that. Like,
Yeah.
they get divorced. I've said this exact same thing to some women I've dated in the past, and it gets to that point where where's this going? How do you feel about this relationship?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, listen, I'm not getting married again, ever.
Yep.
All right, you were married and divorced. How many times do you think in your life a guy's going to be willing to stand up in front of God and all of his friends, risk his shit, give you $1,000 ring, and take and promise to take care of you for the rest of your life? How many times in your life do you think that's going to happen? It's already happened once.
Yeah.
Chances are you get what you got. You're done. Yeah.
Well, I'm lucky with me that I was into Ron Paul a lot too. I'm sure you know he is Congressman Ron Paul.
Yeah.
And between his influence, he's not a fan of government being involved in marriage at all. Same with Senator Rand Paul. Philosophically, from like a political perspective, they think the government just fucks everything up, and it should be treated as a private ceremony, like a religious ceremony, basically, with no government involvement. And
Correct.
between that influence and men's rights, Paul Elam and these guys, and even the pickup artist community, because a lot of guys that got into pickup artistry back in the day who were basically victims of divorce rape. They got murdered in child custody battles and divorce court, and they'd come in the pickup artist community because they're like, all right, I'm back on the dating market. I'm 47 years old, and they would tell these young kids like, hey, you need to avoid marriage because it's fucking nuts. And a lot of the young guys wouldn't listen, but I saw it so consistently. I was like, there's a fucking problem here. Like, there's no way all these dudes are just getting screwed royally, and it's completely their fault. There seems to be a more fundamental problem to what's going on. So I avoided the legal marriage element. So that was really, really glad I did that, given that she was a crazy hooker. But even in general, any girl can fuck you over.
Yeah. Yeah. They do it all the time, and they don't have any remorse over it either. They justify it all kinds of different ways.
Yep.
Blame and justify.
Oh, dude, my ex-wife didn't even apologize. I'm like, you're a fucking prostitute. Like, you need to. And I don't know, it was nuts. But what I did want to say is that what was cool about the speech is that I think it's really hard today for men to hold women accountable for just egregiously ridiculous behavior like that.
Uh-huh.
But thanks to being an entrepreneur and having the conference, I was able to do that. And a lot of guys, I think, really they want to do that for whatever reason, good or bad or whatever. But I was able to do that, and a lot of guys, I think, really inspired by that, as well as the educational point to avoid, crazy hookers and crazy bitches and even legal marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I did one of my videos. I talked about never ever get serious with a woman that has worked in the sex industry in any way, shape, or form.
Yep. Yeah, it's super bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if she's a stripper, great. Have fun, do what you're going to do, keep it casual. But you rope that stuff in and you write a check against it. You just signed a contract with the devil.
Yep. 100%. Yep. Yeah, I even avoid women. I have a rule about women who've traded any money at all for the sexuality. So even like bartenders that rely heavily on tips, tits up, push up bra, even like girl, legitimate models and stuff. They're in their head, they're ingraining the habit of exchanging sexuality, even visually, for money, and that I think is like the big no-no. It's a slippery slope to
Yeah.
being a huge sloot.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yep.
But yeah, that's totally. I didn't take it as far as that, but you're absolutely correct. Wow. I didn't
Quick
even
shout
think
out
of it that way.
to our super chat man here, Harry Holbrook, $5. Thank you, sir. Hey Pop, Airborne might have bumped into you 313th MI 82nd, 85 to 89. Liberal legs make great range fodder. Nice.
Yeah, he's a paratrooper.
Nice. Let's switch gears a little bit. Talk to me about MGTOW itself. MGTOW is the part of the manosphere that I'm the least familiar with, but I've gotten a little warmer to it over the years.
Yeah, they got a bad rap lately, and I don't really understand why. And it's not like an organization, it's just a philosophy that any rational man comes to when he's dealt with a system that is completely one-sided. I mean, think about it. Would you go to a casino and play poker at a table where the dealer gets to take his cards and throw them back and get new cards twice, and you can only do it once? You're never going to win that hand. And if you do, it'll be very seldom. And you'd have to be an idiot to even walk in there to risk your money. Because marriage today is not a contract. A contract benefits both sides of the equation. Now marriage
Good way to put it.
benefits only women. And these guys in the MGTOW community are like, fuck this. I'm out. I'm going to go do my own thing. I'm walking off the plantation. That's it. I'm done. Game over. And that's pretty much MGTOW in a nutshell.
Yeah, there's different levels to it, right? Like some guys go super hardcore and don't interact with them at all. Some guys fuck hookers and shit.
Yeah, I don't really get into the different levels of the MGTOW community. I myself, I'm never getting married again. If you're a dude out there and you just said those words, congratulations, you're red-pilled MGTOW. That's it. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there who have that frame of mind who've been doing that MGTOW stuff for 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
know a
guess
guy.
I guess MGTOW's kind of like choose your own adventure, basically.
Well, I mean, you take control of your life. Like, hey, man, I'm living my life, doing shit I want to do. I want to make what I want to make, and I don't need anyone telling me or bitching at me or controlling me to do anything else. I mean, a lot of the women I dated that I broke it off with is they tried the manipulation game on me, and I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yep.
What you're doing here is a blame and shame thing, trying to use my own masculinity against me here, and I'm out. I'm not doing that. So
Yep.
I
Next.
batten up the hatches and I dive and I run silent, run deep, and that's it.
Yeah. Let's pull this up. Yeah. So you just put out a new video. I have not watched it yet on Tommy Lahren. I really enjoy by the way, like I said, the thumbnail for that.
Yep.
But what are your thoughts on the Tommy Lahren little, her little bitch screed recently? She went out just screaming at men and thinking that she's hot shit.
Well, first of all, a woman's looks peak at 25, and then they go down 1 point in looks per 7 years beyond that. They bottom out at 4 or 5. They bottom out at, and she's just turned 28. She's starting to feel the pinch or the pressure of having children, getting wifed up, and doing all that happy horse shit. And she's realizing that the men are not really into that, for number one, and two, she doesn't really have the same amount of influence that she did over men when she was 21 or 22. That on top of the fact that she's worth like $3 to $5 million. She just broke up with a guy who's running for a senator or a congressman or some shit, who has got the mark of the beast, 6 feet tall, 6-pack abs, 6-figure income. Put a $50,000 ring on her finger, and she said, I'm just not ready to settle down.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And
Wow.
she probably, did what most women do and swung from one cock to the next, except the next one she swung to, she missed, or he wasn't playing that game. And now she's left with her strong, independent self and just causing some problems. So, when I heard that rant, I was really pissed off because, I kind of, in the past, she's conservative and I liked what she used to have to say. But now every time she talks, there's going to be that filter of her feminism between her and me. And I mean, so I can never really trust anything she says again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's basically a feminist, kind of role playing as some sort of MAGA thought. Yeah.
Yeah, she says, like, I'm not a feminist, but everything that came out of her mouth was feminist ideology and speaking points and propaganda.
Yeah. Yeah. She was pro-abortion too. She went pro-abortion a couple years ago. I remember that was
Yeah,
a
I'm
big
not a
deal.
fan
And
of
she,
that. See,
yeah,
now that I have my own kids and shit like that, then
yeah,
like when I was younger, when they sold it as it was just a clump of cells, it'll be very rare. I was on board. But now they can kill kids after they're born on the table and cut them up in the womb, and it's just
yeah. It's insane. Yeah, that
it,
governor that was promoting the after-birth abortion, which is just murder.
it's murder.
Like, yeah,
in my opinion, if a kid can be born and live on its own outside the mother, then it's too late to even try any of that bullshit. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, so, I am not a fan of abortion. The only thing I could see myself supporting is if it was for incest and rape.
Yeah, which are really rare. That's like less than 1% of
Yeah.
all abortions. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they use that as like a red herring or a scare, like a, what do they call that? It's just an outlier, basically. They use to expand the whole argument, which is
It's called mission creep. It's a military term.
Okay.
All right, you get boots on the ground, and then you slowly expand your mission until you engulf the entire country. That's exactly what they're doing. It started off with safe and rare, blah, blah, blah. And over the past 30, 40 years, it's marched all the way up to kill the kid on the table. All right. And you got to understand, people who have that mindset, that can keep going. You don't agree with me, gulag, execution, death camp, mass graves. I mean, it'll keep going. That's how evil works.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look at the Bernie Bros. The Bernie Bros are on camera. These are volunteers and staff for the Bernie campaign. They're talking about re-education camps and gulags for Trump supporters. It's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah. At this point, though, if you threw all those Bernie Bros into a FEMA camp with Alex Jones leading it, I wouldn't really fucking care. I've lost all sympathy and empathy for these people. It's like the minute you want to throw me in a gulag, it's like, all right, you're done. Like, fuck you. Whatever happens to you now, I don't give a fuck. Like I've lost all they're not even people. We used to call them un-American. They would say shit like this, but now it's very aggressively anti-American and anti-freedom and anti-common sense and anti-rationality. So it makes me just want to get away from them. And then, whatever. If Alex Jones is your camp director, I don't give a fuck. Like, not that would ever happen, but it's a dream come true.
Well, like I myself, I'm never gonna. One, I would never allow myself to go into a FEMA camp or any kind of camp like that. I would escape or I would die trying. But I myself would never, put anyone, I wouldn't do murder, executions, rape, all that. I don't do that stuff at all.
Yeah.
Now, if there's an armed conflict and they're enemy combatants and they're on the other side of the two-way rifle range, then so be it. But, yeah, I'm just not a big fan because in Iraq, in Abu Ghraib prison when I was there in 2004, they bulldozed the cap off of 3 mass graves, and that's just raw nightmare fuel right there. And once you see that, and that is true hatred, and that is the end of the line of what the left wants to get to.
Yep.
And I will not participate in that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, you have no tolerance for it in America. Yeah, same.
No, I mean, like if it comes down to a two-way rifle range, internal conflict with the United States, I or any of the men who are under my command or influence will not partake in war crimes. We won't do it. Sorry.
Yeah, Mike Cernovich is a conservative sort of commentator. He was tweeting not long ago that at any other point in history, basically, MAGA people and Manosphere guys, we'd all be in gulags or camps by this point. They would be rounding us up and killing us or gassing us or starving us or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just nuts, man.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but, and people also, the arrogance of the United States is insane. They're like, oh, that could never happen here. Like, oh, really?
Yeah.
You just wait.
Yep. It can happen anywhere. It's the reality of it. It's a thing that's happened throughout human history a bunch of times.
Yeah, because we're a bunch of evil, hairless monkeys. Some of us just have more melanin than others. Who knew?
Yeah. So next question, moving off the Tommy Lahren / FEMA camp discussion. Crazy times we live in, man. You got these fake MAGA thoughts promoting abortion and screeching at men, and then the chick's worth millions, and then you have the Bernie bros and the Biden supporters that want to round people up who think differently and put them in literal camps, or just burn them alive and throw Molotovs at them. I mean, what's such constant craziness? But here's the question: you were from a different generation than me. I'm guessing you're in your late 40s, early 50s.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm much younger than you. I grew up as a millennial. What was it like growing up in America as a man pre 90s political correctness, pre 2000 shit show?
Well, first of all, I had a great childhood.
Hmm.
I was a raging asshole. I mean, I used to blow stuff up, shoot off rockets. I was always in trouble with the cops for fighting, and I loved it. I had a great time. But back in the day, you handled your business. I've faced down bullies, been jumped by gangs, taken a plethora of beatdowns, and I dished out as well as I got and earned the piece of respect. And I took that respect I earned for myself and rolled it into a life.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the younger generation, they're given. There's no bullies. There's no conflict. There's no obstacles that they have to overcome. There's no pain, because pain is the ultimate teacher.
Mm.
All right, and then they get into the real world where Darwin is in full effect, and he doesn't give two shits about you. And these men that are behind me just are not equipped to handle the real world. And they think, hey, the government needs to step in and take care of me. That's why there's a heavy socialism, Marxism thing going on with the younger generation right there.
Yeah, it reminds me of, again, I went to Poland last year, and one of the things I noticed with the men, first of all, they're a lot more masculine. You have a lot less soy boy bullshit and all that. But also, fist fights are really common there for
Yeah.
whatever couple reasons. And that's with little kids in the park. Like actual real fist fights for little 10-year-olds. There's like parents around just kind of watching and shit. Like no one stops it, And none of the kids aren't fucking killing each other, but they're fighting. And then even when you got to bars, there's fights much more commonly than in Florida. But there's no one's whipping out knives, there's no bottles getting busted on people's heads. It's just like a fist fight.
Yeah.
And then it breaks up and everybody goes home, nobody dies. Usually, I would imagine. And it's like there's probably a lot less litigation culture there with attorneys and shit, which is probably facilitating that. But also, they're used to fighting. I think it's much more common in Eastern Europe, and in a way, I think it's healthy. They just fight. I had a couple fights growing up in middle school and high school, but I'm sure that's gone away now for kids. That kind of combativeness and having to defend yourself and all that shit.
Oh yeah, I got so good at it. I actually competed as a professional fighter for years.
Oh no shit. Damn.
Yeah, as a kickboxer and boxer. I didn't do well at the boxing part, but as a kickboxer, I got all the way up to fighting for a world title.
Nice.
I mean, I was defeated in the 10th round by a TKO, but I still, I made it all the way up to the top.
Yeah, man. Sounds like that a hell of a life, man. 30 years in the military. You went through hell and family stuff, fighting and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're just a humble YouTuber for men.
Yeah. Well, I'm still fighting the war, just using different weapons.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a culture war, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, talk to me about. I see you talk pretty frequently about the media and the fake news. I think, and particularly like you believe, and I agree that you can spot propaganda a lot more consistently and things like this.
Oh yeah.
So talk to me about the American media and the propaganda that they're running. Isn't that just conspiracy theory nonsense or what?
Well, first of all, every newspaper, every radio station, every TV station, cable news outlet is all owned by 6 corporations.
Okay.
All right. And like I've been on for instance, when I was in Iraq, I've been on the ground there seeing events unfold. And then an hour later, watching it on CNN, completely different.
Wow.
And that was in 2004. And it's only gotten worse now. They repealed a law which stated that the media can't be used for propaganda within our own borders. So that basically gave them the green light to do whatever the fuck they want.
When
And
did that get repealed? Do you know what year?
it was during the Obama administration. I don't know the exact year. And I don't have the notes for that video in front of me, but
Truth Pop.
that's the case. And as a civil affairs guy, I worked in Intel, and I worked hand in hand with public relations and psyops. And psyops is all propaganda. That's all they do. And I sat down with them and we cooked up some shit and we used it and it worked. You basically influence the people to move in a direction you want them to move, and you do that by lying and deceit and so forth. And that's exactly what they're doing. And in my professional opinion, that those 6 corporations need to get broken up. I mean, that's absolutely ludicrous that 6 corporations are pulling the strings that control the information pipeline that goes to our eyes and ears.
And do you think it's them directly managing that, or do you think they're being influenced, blackmailed and shit by powers? Some combination.
See, that's just it. Is we don't know. I don't know who's pulling the strings, for who or what's going on. But from what I've seen, though, there's definitely some higher intelligence involved in what's going on. It doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah. So with all the propaganda and the unrest this year and the pandemic and the riots and the peaceful burning and looting, what are some of the things that men really need to take into account this year to protect themselves and guard their future, ensure a better future for themselves as men?
Well, first thing you need to do is do everything in your power to keep your job. All right. I mean, if you're self-employed, do everything you can to keep that business from going under. Because sooner or later, this is going to end. All right. So, like, say you can get your business, say you own a bar, and you can manage to keep that bar viable and open until this stuff ends, all your competition will be gone.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then you will prosper from that. That's number one. Number two, get a firearm. Hell, get 3 firearms. Train on said firearms so you know how to use them and are proficient. All right. Number 3, keep some goddamn food and water in your house. Okay. If shit really gets bad, chances are it will. It'll be bad for 6 months to 18 months. Now, if you have 18 months worth of food laying around, you're good. You can store rice and flour and all that shit for years if you vacuum pack it, keep it, stored in several pieces of, bags of plastic in a dry area. It'll still keep for 10 years. And then if nothing happens and it goes back to normal, get yourself a rice cooker and have stir fry once a week. You'll go through that rice in no time flat. So you defend yourself, prepare yourself, and make sure you stay gainfully employed if you can. Because if you can stay gainfully employed when this ends, which someday it will, again, you'll have a leg up on everyone else because a lot of the competition is gone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, man, is I've been an entrepreneur or a business owner now with the same business basically for 14 years. And when I was young and starting it, I was in college. I just got to college when I started it. And, as it got more serious, because it started as a hobby, then became part-time, then eventually full-time about 3-4 years in. And people were very skeptical when I dropped out of college. Like, what are you doing? Blah, 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 get a real job, all this bullshit. And now a lot of those people are unemployed.
Yep.
And I'm a successful entrepreneur and I love it. And I've survived past the 10-year mark when most businesses fail, like 90% of them or something. Even
in
in
5
5, yeah,
years.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah,
it's sad, but it's ironic and kind of amusing. It's like, man, I fucking told you so. Like, lead your life the way you want to lead it, whether it's a job or a business or whatever contract work you want to do or something. Like all these people that were so skeptical, they're all, dude, so many of them now are fucking out of work and on unemployment and shit this year. So
yeah. Yeah, sirree. It's like, for instance, I tore apart the whole college thing in one of my videos. It is absolutely ludicrous that you have to go through 2.5 to 3 years of core classes before you get to your major, the classes that are directly responsible for the major and the reason you're going to college. So, say you want to, go to school to be an engineer, you get 2.5 years of bullshit, and then you get your engineer classes in the last, year and a half. So basically, they're wasting 2.5, 3 years of your life, making you pay for that, which is, in my opinion, it's pretty much useless, just to get the certification and the piece of paper that says you can be an engineer.
are you saying that gender studies and critical race theory are useless?
Completely useless.
Yeah. That's what they're doing now. Some of these colleges they're mandating racial justice and all this bullshit. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I went to OCC and I took a class on video editing. I remember I had to sit down with one of the counselors, and I flat down. I said, "Look, bro, this is what I want to take. I don't want to take anything else. If I can't take this class because you're going to make me do some other bullshit, I'm going to sue the shit out of you. So just let me take the class. I don't need to hear any lip service. Have a nice day." Yeah. I mean, it's like, say you want to become an accountant, go to community college and get your classes for being an accountant. Don't worry about this 4-year degree bullshit, because in the grand scheme of things, there's so many people with 4-year degrees. It's absolutely worthless.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I dropped out. Is I was studying. It was just a mixture. I didn't really know what to study, so I was studying a mixture of stuff called interdisciplinary studies. Just bullshit, basically. So a couple years into college, I was like 4 years in. I'm like, this is fucking dumb. Like, I love my business. That's going pretty good. I'm gonna move it to Europe. I brought it to Sweden that year. The conference we do, and I was like, yeah, fuck college, just drop out. And I just fucking stopped going. I didn't even I didn't even officially drop out or nothing. I just fucking stopped completely, went my own way. Like, adios, college professors. And ironically, I'd failed actually. What really triggered is I failed how to start a business twice in a row. And that's the only class I've ever failed in my life, high school or college. And I was actually running a business in both semesters and was the only student both semesters to be running a business that the school was aware. I was in the paper and shit at school, all kinds of shit. So I was like, this is the sign from a higher power, from the universe, to get the fuck out of this shithole. And it was a major college, UCF, one of the biggest in the country usually, if not the biggest.
What college was it?
University of Central Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually it's the first or second largest in terms of student size. Like, it's usually 60,000 something students now.
Yeah.
It goes back and forth with UF or something like that. Yeah. Sugar baby capital of the world, Orlando, Florida, because there's so many college kids.
Yeah. Shocker.
Yeah. Big shout out to Signy MGTOW here for the $5. Big Pop and President Johnson, fire. Thanks, sir. Got a couple questions here left then, and we'll round out.
All right.
So specifically, I think you did a video on this, but I'm sure you have some thoughts on it. If a man suspects that his woman is cheating, girlfriend or wife or whatever, what should he do? What does that mean for him?
Okay. Well, if you suspect it, there's probably a reason. And that reason is everyone has a subconscious, and that subconscious notice things that you gloss right over every day. So something's going on. So you should probably take steps to verify that, i.e., GPS your car, keylogger on the computer. There are certain things you can get that you can just simply plug it into their phone, and it emails you a copy of all text messages directly to your phone that come from that phone. This technology is easily gotten, and that will pretty much prove your suspicion or disprove your suspicion within a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Same here. Yeah, it took about 2 weeks to. I suspected it. It took a few weeks to figure it out and verify it, and I was like, "Holy fuck!"
But back in 2000, was it 2006 when the shit fucking blew up for me? Is the GPS tracker thing really wasn't a big. It wasn't really available to the general public. So,
did you have to hack your MySpace account?
Well, I mean, I had her car tracked from space with a military DoD satellite.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then it was easy for me to get a copy of the text messages. I did the keylogger on her phone. I called, used one of my sources, Hong Kong Harry, and he was really good at cracking email accounts and other passwords and stuff.
He sounds super legit, Hong Kong Harry.
Oh no, he's totally. I can't even contact him anymore. I don't know what happened to him, but he was great, Hong Kong Harry. It's like $200. I need a password for this account. It would happen. Wow. Yeah, but that was way beyond the statute of limitations, and before any court orders that I was told to stop doing shit like that. And I was still married to her at the time, and the car I was actually tracking was my own personal vehicle in my name. So
yeah. Got it.
But you got to know, and I'm not. A lot of my friends are like, "Well, now you know, so just you don't need to dig anymore." I'm like, "Nope."
Yeah, keep digging. Yeah.
I need, if I'm gonna eat the bowl of shit, I'm gonna eat it all at once, and I'm not gonna space it out over 5 years, because the truth always comes out. All right, and it'll be 2 years after the divorce, you find out another piece of information, it bums you out. Another year later, another piece, you get bummed out again. I just get it over with up front, eat the whole bowl of shit and lick the spoon and get on with your life.
Yep. I had the same experience, man. People were giving me all sorts of bad advice when the shit hit the fan. And one of the pieces of advice was very consistent. It was, stop digging, stop digging. I was like, fuck you. I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do. And my gut said keep digging, and I did. And that's because I didn't find out she was a hooker immediately. That took like a week. I found out she was just cheating, and then cheating a lot, and then I kept digging, cheating a bunch, and then I found out she's a fucking prostitute. So this took about 7 to 10 days of extra digging. And if I had listened to these people that told me to try to work it out with her and stop digging, I'm like, fuck you. Loser bullshit, loser bullshit, loser bullshit.
Yeah. No, you got to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, don't do a speech on it. I'm like, nope, we're going to have an epic speech on it. It's going to be fantastic.
So basically, it was an orchestra of worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine was that way too. Mine turned out really, really crazy as well.
Yep. Yeah, there's all kinds of shit. I mean, so I gave what I could in the speech, because when I gave the speech, I always stuck to what I could prove, because I know she could try to sue me for defamation, all this shit. I was familiar enough with the law to understand that. And so I navigated that. I looked up the statutes, how these things worked and all that. And I navigated really well. I even ended up talking with an attorney about it, reviewing, all the content and stuff. But it was bad. There's so much that happened that I didn't have evidence for, that I couldn't even say. But it was really horrific stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure it's not gonna end well for her. I mean, she's like 40 now.
Yeah, I just turned 39. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll hit the wall and just fucking go nuts.
She's already hit the wall.
Well, it's like the 40 wall is like so you got the 30 wall, you got the 35 wall, then you got the 40 wall, and it's like layers of pain. And I think the 40 wall is really like hitting 30 is what Tommy Lauren's about to do, and she's feeling that. But I think when they hit 40 is when they just go cuckoo, like just bonkers.
Well, that's when they start to notice they're becoming invisible.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So yeah, not my problem, not my wife. Good luck, some of my friends think she'll get plastic surgery and just get herself killed or something on accident, for cheap in Brazil or some shit. Who knows? I mean, it's she's super unhinged. So,
well, it's not your problem anymore. You've erased yourself from her life equation.
Yep.
You're not even a variable anymore, so don't even worry about it.
Yeah, man. There's so much else to do in life. So last question here though.
Okay.
You're big on YouTube. You got 120,000 followers. I'm sure it's all men. 90, like my channel, 98% men. Sure,
Mhm.
you got some chicks that follow you. They dig it. But Captain Pop. But who else do you follow on YouTube? Who are some of the other content creators
Oh
that you're a fan of?
shit! I watch all the MGTOW creators. You know,
Okay.
like I watch Sydney MGTOW, Better Bachelor. I love the Better Bachelor because he's got that ice rink organ music in the beginning.
Yep.
That dude's hilarious. Ah, good stuff. I've actually talked to the Better Bachelor on the phone a couple times. He's a good dude.
Yeah, I just found him recently. He's based in Florida, I think, in Gainesville.
Yeah, well, yeah, he is. And then Sydney MGTOW, I talked to him on the phone as well. And the thing about the Sydney MGTOW is he does it. He used to do it out of his car. He'd film
Hmm.
it in a car. And it's still great content. It's hilarious too. I mean, and all we're doing is we're just ripping some of this stupid shit apart. I mean, when you objectively look at some of the behavior that's going on in the Western world, you have no choice but to laugh your ass off or go insane. There's no in between. I just
Yeah.
use it as fuel for comedy because some of it is so jacked up. I mean, you can't even make it up. It's so funny.
Yeah, Clown
Yeah,
World's pretty brutal, man.
yeah. I watch most of the MGTOW guys. I
Okay.
can't think of anything I haven't watched. I mean, I get alert on my phone. I usually or it shows up in my feed, and I watch it all.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Is there anyone at 21 Convention you're excited to meet in particular? Like Coach Greg Adams will be there. He's a big MGTOW YouTuber now.
Uh huh.
Alpha Male Strategies will be there. Jesse Lee Peterson. He's a lot of fun. Elliot Hulse. Steve Burley, too, from Studio Burley, if you know him. He does a lot of shows with Paul Elam and
I've
Jen
met him
Mango.
before. Yeah, he's a good
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, he's cool. Yeah. There's Pop. Yeah, there you are. Yep.
Yeah. And then no, I mean, I've never been one of those guys to be a celebrity guy. They're just normal people that put their pants on in the morning like anyone else.
Yeah.
Sure, it'd be nice to meet them, but I'm not like jumping for joy or anything.
Okay. Well, I look
So
forward to meeting you. I think it's going to be good.
yeah,
Open
to
up
be
the bar,
honest, I'm surprised it took me this long to get linked up with you because I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
first men's rights conference they had in Detroit. I'm the reason it went off
Yeah, I
because
heard about that. They almost
it
got
got
blown up.
canceled
Yeah.
because of threats from feminists and shit.
Yep.
And then I heard about it, and I'm like, oh, that shit ain't right. And I basically steered them to a hall at a VFW that I frequent in East Point, Michigan, and they had it there
Yep.
because veterans really don't scare easy. I
Yeah, it's
wonder
good.
why that is.
Yeah, the feminists this year have been trying to cancel us, but I've done the conference so many times that I've been able to just prevent that. I have good relationships, strong with all the hotels in Orlando that I
Uh-huh.
use, a bunch of them. And then also, I just hide the venue anyway from the public. And then on top of that, I went a next level this year because the feminists are stalking us so hard. The venue is not even given out to attendees until 72 hours before the event starts.
Uh-huh.
So they can't call the venue and harass the management and do bomb threats and fake bullshit. And so they don't even know. No one knows where the fuck it's at. To buy a ticket, they're not even. They're too cheap basically. Even if they did, they're not going to get the venue until the last minute. Even if they do, and I've heard people putting out rumors too of fake venues in Orlando. I don't know who would do that, but I've just heard people doing that. And then on top of that, if they do find the venue, it's like only certain parts of Orlando they allow protesting downtown, and we're not downtown. So there's so many other places in Orlando you can do it, and there's so much tourism that they just don't
Uh-huh.
want this crazy shit walking around. So I've been working at little stuff like that for a long time, and I get pretty good at it. But
No,
yeah,
no. I mean, they did
okay.
they did something very similar for the conference in Chicago last year.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought that
Yeah,
was pretty cool.
keep it secret. Yeah, I didn't go to that one, but I think I heard about it. My buddy Sean Smith, one of our speakers, spoke at it.
Yeah, I was there. I just checking it out.
Yeah, cool. Our conference is awesome, man. You're gonna love it. It's super pro. We got security. We got cops. We got super pro film team, photography team. It's a whole fucking show, man. It's a whole like thing. It's really nice. It's like Star, man. Movie, we have red carpet. We actually have red carpet we use sometimes. So.
Really?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, everything you need, man. We got backdrops, photo stuff, dinners, cigars, drinks. Like, it's awesome
Well,
time.
I like to eat, but I don't like smoke. I don't smoke nothing. But I'll drink some booze.
Yeah, sounds good, man. We'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm gonna end up round up the show today. Really appreciate your time.
No problem, man. No problem.
Yep. Everybody, make sure you go visit Mr. Popp at redonkulas.com.
And check out my books.
Yeah. These are on Amazon, so you can get these. Just go to Amazon. I'm sure you can type Terrence Popp to search them, or you can type the names: The Warrior's Way and The Soldier's Soul, The Killer of Killers, and Showdown. And audiobooks coming soon.
Yep.
And also, your other website was secondclasscitizen.org.
Yep. It's a nonprofit. It's for men's rights and Red Pill. Yeah, it's not big. There's not a lot of money there, but I'm just trying to get the information out there that you're really playing with fire when you get involved with women in the Western world.
Yep. All right, man. Appreciate your time. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in live today to the show. Check us out next week on Saturday about 11:30 a.m. That'll be episode 117. Another big guest on the show. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, thanks again for your time, Terrence. I'm going to end the broadcast and look forward to meeting you soon at 21.